everybody. We're going to do a little quick demonstration on how to sharpen a chisel. Many people will have chisels at home, and we're going to learn how to sharpen them today. Typically people at home will have whetstones, which are almost like a block of really solid sandpaper, and they come in different grades. We have diamond stones. They just last a little longer. They're a little more expensive, but they don't wear out, they don't go out of shape, and they just typically last longer and do a little bit better job. And for the amount of stuff we sharpen in here, we're going to have high quality stuff for that. So they come in different grades or grits, just like sandpaper. So these diamond stones, if you see here, there's one here, extra coarse. We've got fine. See that there? And we've got an extra fine. So the fine and the extra fine are going to be the ones that we typically use the most. These need to be lubricated with a little bit of water, so that's why I have this spray bottle full of water here. A couple other tools I have to do that is I have some paper towel just to clean up any water and swarf that's on there. I have a block of honing compound and a couple pieces of leather, and you can see that honing compound's pushed into that leather, and that's going to give us our final polish and make everything really sharp for us. So typically when you get a new chisel right out of the package, you're going to have to flatten the back. These ones are pretty flat on the back already because that's usually only the first time you do that. We're not going to be using the coarse stone. The coarse stone would be as if you had a bunch of big nicks in the blade. As you can see, this blade is actually pretty good. Focus. There's no major nicks in it, and the back is fairly flat, but we're going to touch it up on here anyway. So I'm just going to put this coarse stone off to the side, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the back first, and we'll use our fine stone for that. We're going to put a little bit of water on there, not a lot, you don't need a ton. But what these diamond stones are, they're fake diamonds, they're man-made diamonds, and what they are is they are able to glue that to this metal substrate here. And yeah, the diamond is the hardest material known to man, so it's going to wear away that steel. And what that water does is it stops. You're going to see some black come off of this here. It's going to start turning a little bit black. You can see that in there. I'll kind of hold it up there if you can see the black in the water. Okay, that's actual pieces of steel coming off the back, and we're just going to flatten this back to begin with just a little bit, just to make sure that it's really flat. If the back is not flat, you can't sharpen the chisel properly. It will never ever get sharp enough to be really like that razor sharp. Okay, so we're going to push that nice and flat and make sure there's water on there. You can see that's building up. We're going to check this again. I'm going to look, and we're going to see that's getting nice and polished there. Okay, a little bit more. Just right at the tip, make sure you don't have to flatten the whole back. The tip and the top and the back of the tip are probably the most important part. So we're going to try and keep that nice and flat, and we're going to have a nice flat back there now. You can see it's nice and shiny. Okay, we've cleaned that up. So once the back is flattened, we're going to work on doing the actual bevel. The bevel's about 25 degrees. You know there's 365 degrees in a circle. I'm going to put a little bit more water on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this on there so that it is flat on the stone. I don't want it too high, I don't want it too low. I want to be like I'm right tight to there. And I'm going to pull back. And I'm going to pull back. And I'm going to pull back. I'm going to make sure that front tip is getting sharpened. I want the whole bevel to get sharpened, and mostly the tip. So I'm going to hold that as steady as I can. Have I done this for a long time? Yes. Am I going to do a better job than you? Maybe. But we're going to go ahead and keep polishing that. Watch out, it will start getting sharp, okay? So we're going to keep doing that. Back, back. We're going to do it probably about 20 times. You'll see sometimes people do a figure 8 motion. That's a way to do it too. Okay. I prefer just the pulling back. I find it doesn't change the angle much. But you can do this if you want. You'll see all that black swarf coming off there, and that's what we call that. That's the actual metal wearing away, the microscopic particles of steel that are coming off that chisel. So yeah, we're going to keep pulling back. And I'm going to pick up my pace a little bit here because I know I've done this before. A little bit more water on there. Move my leather out of the way. I don't want that getting wet. Now, at home, if you find a chisel, when you're doing your tool inventory, or you're looking around to chisel something one day at home, and you find a chisel, most likely it's going to be dull. It will not be very sharp. Take a look at the end. Does it have any chips? Okay. If it doesn't, you're in pretty good shape to get that sharpened. Okay. This is starting to look really good here. Okay. You can see all the way along there, there is no chips. It's starting to get polished. I'll put a little more water on there just to keep that clear. If you don't do this, if you don't put that water, the stone will eventually plug, and then it doesn't work as good. And you want to use all the stone. The diamond will wear a little bit, but it will not wear out. This stone will last probably 10 years. So we'll sharpen a lot of chisels in that time. Okay, now we've used the fine stone. Take a look at that. That's pretty good. On the back, you're going to feel, when you feel the back, you'll feel a small burr. You probably can't see it, but anyways, it's there. What we're going to do now is we're going to put that stone flat on, or the chisel flat on our stone, nice and tight, and then just give it one quick pull back. And that's going to remove that burr. That's going to pull that off. This chisel is starting to get sharp now, okay? Is it razor sharp? No. We're going to get to the next step. So this is done. I'm going to wipe off this stone. It's very important you don't put these stones away wet. Okay? The stone you may have at home, typically people have oil stones, and you just use a little bit of oil on there. Typically if you have a can of 3-in-1 oil, a lot of people have that at home, just a few drops on there will stop it from clogging up. You can see that paper towel is getting dirty, and that's from all the metal there. So I'm going to put that stone aside. Now we're going to go to our extra fine one. Again, we still need water. This one feels really smooth. It almost feels like it doesn't do anything. Okay, and when I bought it at first, I was like, something wrong with this, but it's not. Okay, we're just going to give that back a quick polish with this really sharp part. The more polished it is, the finer the edge you can get on it. And remember, I'm just redoing this just to show you. This would be more for a new chisel to do the back. Typically, we're going to have this polished out when you guys start using, because these chisels are used quite often in here. And we're going to sharpen that. We're going to flatten that back again and give it that nice polish. Okay. Now, that's again getting a bit more shiny, a bit more of a mirror polish. Excuse me. Hope your virus protection's updated. Just kidding. That edge is starting to get sharp now. I'm doing something I should really not do, and that's pulling that across there. That's a bad idea. These chisels can get razor sharp, and they can cut you. So that's getting nice and polished. We're going to switch back to sharpening the bevel. There we go. Pull back. Pull back. Maintain that angle nice and straight. Don't lift it too high. You want to keep that angle. But if it's too low, all you're going to end up doing is catching the back here and not the actual cutting edge. If you don't get the cutting edge, useless. Pull back, pull back. And you'll start seeing some more metal, add a little more water. You can't put too much water, but then the water goes everywhere. And we don't want that. Look for a sharpening stone at home. Watch this video. Watch other videos on sharpening. You can learn how to sharpen your kitchen knives. One of the reasons people get cut with tools is they're not sharp. They are not sharp, and they end up having to use so much force to get it to cut and do what they want. Okay. We all see these satisfying videos these days. A sharp chisel will make very tiny curls and allow you to make those cuts. So I'm going to do that about 25 times. I don't know how many times I did it. Okay, and it's starting to get nice and polished at the tip there and along the whole thing. It's starting to get nice and sharp too. I'm going to do that same thing, flat on there, pull it back. Okay, now I'm going to take a look at that edge. I'm going to test it on a little bit of the wood here. It's starting to get sharp. Okay, that's pretty good. We're going to switch now to the leather. Now this piece of leather is just a piece of leather, old glove I cut up. Could be an old piece of belt. In the old days when men would go for shaves, the straight shave, you'd see what the barber would have a strop, and that's how he would sharpen the razor blades to shave men's beards, shave their faces. We're putting in what's called a honing compound. It's very fine particles, as fine as this stone is. This is like probably 10 times finer, and it's suspended in a wax. So we've just impregnated that piece of leather with that. And what we're going to do is we're going to now just pull this back on here. And you see, you can kind of see there how shiny that is. It's going to get even shinier and more polished. And you see the leather there. You can see those black streaks. That's where I've pulled the chisel across. That's metal coming off there, and that's how we know it's working. And you push hard. And again, watch your fingers. This is going to start to get really sharp. Okay, and we're going to pull that back. We'll do it another 25 times. Don't rock it, don't roll it. Try and maintain that angle. You don't want to round over your tip. If you do though, you just go back to your stones. It's going to happen. Okay, you can take a look at that. It's starting to get really shiny now. You can almost get this to a mirror finish. Ooh. Okay. We're going to do that. We're going to check that. And now we have to do that final on the back there. Remember we talked about that wire edge? We're going to put this on the leather and we're going to pull it back. Just one time. And that's going to break that wired edge. Okay? I'm going to grab a piece of pine here and we're going to see how sharp this is now. Let's take a look. Oh, and I don't know if you can actually see that. And I'm going to try and get a little closer. That is razor sharp. You would never want to put your hand in front of that, okay? That chisel is sharp. That will do anything you want it to. Don't even look at it, it's so sharp, okay? All right, well that's today's lesson on sharpening. If you have any questions, you can post them and ask away. If you were here, you'd ask me, but you know, since we're on Corona-cation, we'll ask via Teams. But there's a nice sharp, scary sharp edge actually. All right, thanks for watching. See you later.